Okay, welcome to It's Not Over, a show podcast. And we're now on Spotify, by the way,
That's amazing.
and Apple Podcasts.
I saw you on Apple
iTunes. Is that what they call it?
Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcasts. Okay. So this is like official,
It's a big deal.
Lisa. Yeah, it is. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. So this is my friend Lisa. We met at a collaborative lawyers meeting, but I knew you before.
We know everyone.
We know it. We know a lot. It's like the Jewish geography thing,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yes. She helped a very good friend of mine through her divorce, which is amazing. So we clicked, and as I get to know you, we're friends now. You're stuck with me. I really appreciate, from what I see, the way you treat people, the way you do things, and you have it. Because I come across a lot of attorneys.
Thank you.
And some of them don't. Okay.
I understand.
Okay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for people meeting you, Lisa, how would you describe what you do in the realm of lawyer attorney stuff?
Okay. So I practice family law.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't really understand what is family law. And some people assume, oh, you are hired just to fight all the time.
Right. I think that is what people do think.
Because
I do think that is what happens a lot.
Absolutely, it does. But it's not the only way. And I'm learning as I get older and I deal with more different types of people, and especially clients that have more wealth. And I don't want to see them basically bleed their money dry,
right?
Especially with children, and be left with, a shingle, as they say,
right.
over their head,
right?
And a ton of debt. And nobody wants lawyer fee debt either. Nobody wants that.
Right.
So I've kind of shifted my focus a little bit, but in the umbrella of family law, I do a lot of different things. Divorce is certainly the bread and butter of my practice.
Right.
But I also do custody cases. I do paternity cases, which is, a lot of people think, who's your daddy?
Right.
From wonderful Jerry Springer and all of the wonderful news shows out there. But that's really not what it is. Usually we know who the father is.
Right.
But the father needs to establish their legal rights.
Okay.
And so paternity is their way of establishing their legal rights.
Okay.
And then child support. We do a lot of business distributions, meaning a marital business that's going to be dissolved because the parties are getting divorced. How do we divide the assets from the business? How do we divide the debt from the business? And then probably the most rewarding part is adoptions. I do a lot of adoption cases. Some are contested, some are uncontested. I only do private adoptions. I don't do adoptions through dependency court or DCF cases for a lot of my own personal reasons, but I have a lot of friends personally that have adopted their children.
Wow.
And my kids have a lot of friends that are adopted, and I just think it's amazing. It's just such a warm, fuzzy feeling in family law. Even the judges sometimes cry, and they come off the bench and they give teddy bears and candy to the kids, and it's a really special day. It really means a lot.
It's so interesting because we're filming back to back to back, and the other women that were here before you were talking about that kind of warm and fuzzy feeling in general. And I think the world has lost it. Yes. And I think that it's kind of an ancient type thing. We're all worried and nervous and anxious, and however you want to call it. I think it's so nice to meet you. You also have a business with the
other part. Yes, it's separate from my law firm.
Your seventh business.
Yes. I feel like there's 7, but there's a lot. I own a passport. It's called Passport, Depository, and Escrow Corp. I bought it from a close friend of mine who was an attorney for 30-something years. He was kind of wrapping up the business, and I wanted to basically give it some more spirit and liven it up and really market the business, because he didn't do any marketing. And this day and age, my 12-year-old can do an Instagram page in 5 seconds.
Yes.
So not that she helped me with this one, but she probably could.
Right.
So Passport, Depository, and Escrow Corp is a really neat company where I'm either appointed by judges to hold children's passports, their birth certificates, real estate deeds sometimes, because someone's going through a division of a house, and
right.
they don't want the deed recorded and they don't trust the lawyer, so
Right.
they can appoint me as a third party to hold the deed. And then really any other identifying documents related to international travel, I hold. And either the parties agree, which I have a lot of clients where they agree,
Right.
they sign the forms and I hold it, and then they have to check it in and out, almost like,
Yeah.
like a library card back in the day. Remember
Right.
that?
Oh
It's
my
like
God,
ancient.
yes.
A library card. They
Mhm.
have to check it in and out. Or the judge signs an order, and the judge gives me basically parameters on what we can and can't do with the passports. And I will tell you, if you're a family that likes to travel,
Mhm.
having a third party hold your passport really makes you stop and think a little bit before you book your next trip, because you're not going anywhere without the passport.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can go on a cruise without a passport, which is fine.
Right.
But, most people, a lot of people don't even know you can travel on a cruise without a passport.
I
You can go
didn't
on a
know
birth
it.
certificate.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can. You can go on
Okay,
the birth
thank you.
certificate.
Plethora of information today.
Yes,
Thank you.
But the purpose of the company and why I wanted to get involved in that was to really help parents figure it out.
Yeah.
You both want to travel, your kids want to travel, you want to go places, you want to do wonderful things. Just communicate with the other party. That's all you have to do. And if you can't communicate, you can communicate through a third party that you have to pay for. Now it's a service, but it really does stop people from, oh, it's your time sharing? Well, we're going to Paris for spring break.
Right.
See you later. And you take the kids to Paris on mom's spring break if you're dad, and you keep the passport. Or moms do it, on dad's Christmas vacation. Oh, by the way, we're out. See you later.
Yeah.
You can't do that if someone's holding the passport.
What would you say, this isn't in the notes, when people come and see you, your clients come, I know you see men and women.
Yes.
Is the biggest, because I know you talk to people and I know we refer back and forth because you do your thing, I do my thing. But because I know you're just not dealing with a person, someone's coming to you with the real life problems. And I know probably initially you're listening to the why and the anger. What is the biggest problem that a client comes to you as to how they end up at your office, if there is?
You mean like what's the number one reason people come to me?
Yes.
To help me with
the reason
life
that
problems?
the reason that they're divorced, they're now headed to divorce.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, I think it's different for men and women.
Okay.
From what I've seen, and of course, as different times are changing, there's different issues I think that couples face. At different times, and sometimes even the same year, different times of the year.
Yeah, different seasons.
That people face different things. I would have to say overall, from the female side, I think most people lead themselves or they get led to the decision to file for divorce because they have felt neglected in their marriage. They have felt that they have been almost jailed financially because they don't have access to funds that they did before. And a lot of it is just control and manipulation. And I do, same-sex divorce cases. I do, obviously men and women getting divorced. And it's still the same thing I see with women. Whether you're getting divorced from a female, you're getting divorced from a male. It's the same concept of power and control and manipulation. With men, I think sometimes men just feel unloved and they feel that they're not getting the same attention and personal time, I would say, from their wife. And a lot of times I think, and I'm going through it now too with my kids as they're growing up, your kids' time that they need, the focus changes. And it's very hard to juggle everything at the same time and be present and available for everybody's needs all the time throughout the day. But I think with men, it's difficult for them sometimes, and I'm telling you from the worst case scenario, because people are coming to me because they're ready to end it.
Yeah.
Maybe they've tried different things, but it really comes down to communication, I think, with men and women.
That's what I wanted.
And the communication problem leads to all different types of conflict. And once the conflict starts, it just tends to build and build and build. And if you're a type of person that, and I see a lot of this in men and women, you just kind of brush it under the rug and you move on to the next. It just builds and builds and builds until someone explodes.
It piles up. Right.
Then it's hard.
Yeah. And the communication during the marriage, if it's off, I'm sure communication during the divorce is off. And then the communication about parenting is off. And do you feel that if the communication is better with couples that would save some marriages?
I think in some situations, yes, absolutely. I think the problem is understanding how to communicate. Because we say communicate, talk to your spouse, talk to your kids, but if you're sitting there trying to figure out how to bring up a very difficult subject that you don't want to talk about, your spouse doesn't want to talk about it, you got to find the right time during the day when your kids aren't around to talk about it, because a lot of these subjects are not kid friendly.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm certainly a proponent.
You shouldn't be talking
do
about
not
it.
talk about this stuff in front of your children, period. End of story. Do the best that you can. Make it at a time when they might not be awake, or maybe they're not home,
right?
Something like that. But sometimes it's already gone, because people have not communicated effectively, sometimes since the day they got married.
Yes.
And sometimes people, and I'm sure you see this in the coaching world, they don't even know how to communicate or know what they're doing wrong about communicating.
Correct. Or they don't know how, like you're saying, men, a lot of times there's a time to communicate with them and a time not to, and a woman wants to go on, and it's two different people coming together. And like you said, and this is why I like to talk to couples as they're entering marriage. How do you communicate? What is your relationship with money? The things that come up at the end, be proactive. So,
and those little things that nobody wants to talk about, bring them up and talk about them in a way that works for you. It's not going to, what works for me is not going to work for you, Julie. And half my clients, it's not going to work for them either. But it's figuring out the best way to do it. And that's a challenge in itself.
Right. And then since you're not communicating, you probably see it a lot. It's a mad person sitting in front of you because they're frustrated because there's no communication. And then they want to punish the other person financially or whatever it is with the settlement agreement or the parenting plan. And who does it hurt? We've had this conversation. It hurts the children.
Always. And it's difficult for me to see, because now, because we did the training together, I'm trained in collaborative family law, and I'm working on mindset training and how to really shift the focus from litigation to more private, confidential, peaceful approaches, which it's not always kumbaya, let's hold hands and
wouldn't that be
talk
great?
about it. A lot of times it's really tough, difficult subjects. But, a lot of times when people are, and this is, I think, in any aspect of life, it's not just, in a family dispute, you talk to people that you trust and that you want them to help you, and you call them your support system. But a lot of times people have their own agenda, and it doesn't come out until the very end. And you end up getting burned through the process if you're relying on these people. But I tell clients when they come in right away, who is your peanut gallery?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about your supportive, girlfriends. I'm not talking about, the husband's, boys' night crew. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm talking about the go-to people that you talk to all the time about what's going on. And are they influencing you in a good way or a bad way?
That is it.
Because the peanut gallery, I still remember, nobody sees it on the cartoons anymore, but I still remember Snoopy and Charlie Brown, and all the peanut gallery that always had something to say or a sound to make, on the cartoon.
And then you hear them go, well, what? Like people stop even hearing it.
Yeah.
They stop even hearing it. I'm glad you brought that up, because I know a lot of people are confused. As far as family law, collaborative law, is there a fit for one or the other?
There absolutely is.
Okay.
And a lot of that is screening the client at the very beginning of the process to find out if...
Because you do both.
I do both.
Okay.
But I just started doing collaborative in April of this year. I got trained, and I'm working with a lot of really amazing professionals, building teams and trying to work with people. But it's not for everyone. And figuring out at the beginning that it's not for you is just as important as figuring out that it is for you. Because it's different. And if you want me to get into that a little bit?
Yes.
So in a traditional family case, you end up filing your petition, the other party ends up getting served, and then you work with usually attorneys. Most of the time there's attorneys on both sides, and you file motions and you end up litigating. Now, before you're going to go to a full-blown trial, you're obviously going to be going to mediation, where that's a confidential process to try to settle. But your life is front page of the Broward County Clerk's website, Miami-Dade,
for everyone to see.
Whatever county you're in. And everyone says, this came up yesterday, which is appropriate for our conversation now. Well, we both agree that we're just going to keep this off the court record. We're going to agree, husband and wife, that this is not going to become part of the court record. It already is. We can't undo it. We're not allowed to undo it. And guess what? You don't get to decide as the party that this is now going to be sealed from public record once it's filed. That's a question for the judge. And there is a very, very, very narrow, slim area of the law which allows for cases to be sealed.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's not, I just don't want my stuff out on public record. No, it's not.
No,
And
most people don't.
most people don't realize it, and you don't get to decide. That's a judge decision. Even if you file an agreement that this is going to be sealed, it's not. And it's already on the record, so the people you don't want to see it have probably already read it anyway.
Right.
And downloaded it and saved it. And
it's there forever.
It's not coming back.
Right.
You know
Your
what I mean?
children could see it.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone
I
could
mean,
see it.
yeah, absolutely. So collaborative is totally different.
Okay.
And a collaborative case is you build a team. So there's a couple requirements in order to make it collaborative that you have to do. First of all, both sides have to have attorneys.
Okay.
One attorney cannot represent both sides. It's not allowed under the statute. And it's now codified into Florida law thanks to a whole bunch of trailblazing attorneys that have made it Florida law.
It's newish collaborative
it's pretty
law.
new.
I feel like it's
Don't quote me on the date because I don't remember,
Okay,
but I
quoting
want
you,
to
I'm
say
quoting
like
you.
the last 2 years, I want to say, maybe 2023.
It's finding its way.
But it's more people are learning about it and judges are getting educated on it, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So you have two attorneys, one representing each side. You have to have a neutral forensic, which is a someone with a financial background, either a forensic accountant or a CPA, but someone that's a neutral forensic.
Working for both parties.
For both,
Okay.
which means they get documents from both sides and they work together with both sides to figure out what do we need, what is missing, what's the most important part of this. And you're looking at assets, you're looking at debt, you're looking at all the financial annoying stuff that I know clients tell me they start to get a little bit of PTSD and migraine headaches when they look at the forms I send them. And I'm not doing that to hurt them, but it's part of the process.
It's information needed.
You gotta have it. Like we can't just skip it. And then the third part is you have a neutral facilitator, which is generally a professional with a mental health background. And for me, learning about this, that's the most important part because that's the composer of the show. That is the person that is going to keep everybody on task. Make sure the meetings run on time. Make sure everybody's prepared for the meetings. Make sure nobody's goofing off during the meetings. Making sure everybody stays focused. And really making everybody
big job.
accountable, which you don't get that in litigated cases.
No.
It just doesn't happen. Even the judges don't make parties accountable or attorneys. Sometimes I feel like it's the wild, wild west. But unfortunately, there's a lot of cases in all of these counties. There's a lot of cases, especially when we talk about South Florida. So your case, unfortunately, isn't any more important than the next guy's case. So it's almost like you get a number, and when your case is ready to go, you get your hearing. But you're not going to just say, oh, I'm so important, I want to get a hearing now. No, it doesn't work that way.
What is the wait now, Lisa, for something like that?
Well, for trial, in
trials.
Broward, you're looking at probably 6 to 7 months out from the date you request a trial date for a full day trial.
It's not the day you file.
Oh, no. Okay. Palm Beach, it's a little bit less. And Dade County, it depends on who your judge is to determine their docket. But for trials, you're looking at 6 to 7 months out on average from the time you request the trial date. And if you're working with an attorney that's a professional, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
They should not be requesting a trial date until they're really ready.
Okay.
Not, oh, we need to take 10 depots and we need to send out 16 subpoenas, but we want a trial date now because we want the time to be passing while I'm doing all my discovery.
Right.
That means you're not ready for trial.
Interesting.
You're not ready. You
and
should
that
not
happens
be filing
often? That happens often?
It does.
Okay.
It's very frustrating.
And then what happens if you get to the trial and your ducks aren't in a row?
Well, that's a good question. The judge will most likely either strike pleadings that are filed without the proper evidence to support them.
Okay.
The judge can, and I've seen this in a lot of cases in the last 6 months, they will reset the trial depending on the issue.
6 or 7 months
so
later?
Yeah, just kick the can down the road another 6-7 months, and we'll give you a new date because clearly not everybody is prepared. Or sometimes you can stipulate, depending on the attorney on the other side, sometimes you can stipulate and say, well, you know, I don't have that, but if you give me this within the next 2 days, we can move forward in accordance with what we need to file. And then the judge can punish people, you know, and sanction and grant attorney's fees if you were ordered to produce something and you didn't. I mean, that's another option as well. But it really depends on what the issue is to determine if it's worth do you want to wait 12 months really, to try your case when you've been litigating your divorce for 3 years? If it's me, I don't want to.
I don't think anyone does.
I want it done.
And
Make
I think
it stop.
people do want it done. I think people do want it done. Is there something you enjoy more? Is it the collaborative or family law?
You mean litigation or collaborative?
Litigation.
Well, I'm still really new to collaborative, so
You're learning.
I'm learning.
In theory, it's amazing.
I love the concept. I think you have
I fell
to have
in love with it.
The right people working on the team. You have to have people that want to do it for the right reasons, which it's a very narrow scope of the population. I think that's going to fit into that category. But what I also believe, as I'm learning more and more, I do think it's the right way to go in most cases.
Okay.
With one exception, and I've seen this recently a lot, which I'm sad to say, but it's just the reality. I don't feel domestic violence cases are appropriate for the collaborative setting.
Okay.
I don't feel it's an appropriate place because either there's physical abuse or mental abuse or emotional, I say mental abuse, but a lot of times it's emotional, which to me is worse than the physical abuse sometimes because the emotional abuse doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going. And while I know somebody would be in pain and suffer physically, but usually it stops at a certain point, depending on obviously the type of cycle of violence and things like that. But I don't think anyone could come in good faith and sit at a round table or on a Zoom meeting without feeling that they've been manipulated in some way because of what their past has been. And we can't erase the past. Of course, we want to learn from it, but I still think there's that element of manipulation and distrust, which doesn't work in a collaborative process.
And it's the feeling around that meeting, Lisa, right? Like I have clients, they cannot even sit there. They decided they wanted to go collaborative and maybe it wasn't a good fit for them.
Right.
But then we're role playing. You need to be sitting across from someone. And like you said, they've been abused by this person.
Yeah. And it's hard. And I think a lot of people put up a lot of, men and women, they put up a lot of their own shields. Yeah. Whether it's words that they say or whether it's a certain frame of mind that they have or whether it's just an attitude, which people can feel that. You can feel somebody's attitude from their body language. And when that happens, sometimes people just go numb and they can't make the right decision if their life depended on it because they're just numb from the process. Yeah. And that's not a person that I think can make an honest, voluntary decision about the rest of their life and their children's lives. And I worry about that because, you always have people that say, oh, I can do it. It's fine. It's not an issue. But then when they're in the moment, they can't do it. Yeah. They can't. So to get to your question, I kind of beat around the bush a little bit.
No, it's good information. Thank you for sharing.
I like the process. I like the mindset behind the collaborative process. I like the fact that you are making your own decisions without a judge telling you, this is what it's going to be. And I think parents should make decisions over their kids' lives, regardless of who the judge is. I think they're better fit in most cases to make that decision. But litigation is something I've done my whole life. And I really do like being in a courtroom. I don't love Zoom, but it's happening a lot still, even though it's not COVID anymore, but some people operate under COVID rules. I like being in a courtroom. I like being able to articulate information. I like being close to my clients so that we can present information and have documents that we hand and give photos and things like that. But most importantly, and this is something that I've always been drawn to, is being able to be a voice for someone in the most difficult time of their life and being able to stand up for them and be their backbone and telling them, we got this. This is how we're going to move forward, and have them lean on you and being able to have the strength and the courage to know that whatever happens is going to happen, but I'm in the right hands and I'm being guided properly. And that feeling is just something that's always pushed me to want to be a litigator because so many people can't even stand up for themselves. And being able to have somebody that they trust, it just, it puts chills in my body. It just makes
That's
me
why
feel
you're
important.
Here. That's why I love you. It's palpable.
Thank you.
So it is.
And it's true. I mean, there's cases that are tough and difficult and really emotional issues. But at the same time, I know these people couldn't do it on their own. Yeah. They can't. Yeah. So they need someone to do that for them.
And here you are.
Which is helpful. It's helpful.
What's needed.
Correct.
Now, what made you go into law?
To become a lawyer to begin with?
To become a lawyer to begin with.
Oh, that's
Yes.
such a funny question.
Yes.
So I was just talking to my sisters about this actually the other day. So I'm a middle child. I have an older sister and a younger sister. I grew up in a house. My mom was a kindergarten teacher. I say was because she's passed away now. And my dad was a child psychologist. So if you can picture the scene, it's probably like a family sitcom. Not today's day.
Let's do a
like
show.
Maybe in like the 1980s. I was born in '79. Maybe in the
Mhm.
80s. Where I grew up in a house where our parents really, and it wasn't a thing back then, now it's a thing, but they taught us how to use our voice. I mean, my parents were always advocates to speak your mind, be respectful,
Amazing.
talk about things. We had family meetings ad nauseum. I wanted to die half the time.
People don't do that anymore.
No, and I try to do it with my own kids, and they're like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" You know.
Mhm.
But it wasn't just, "Hey, how was your day today?" It was, "Tell me something really important you learned today," or "Tell me the most challenging thing that happened with a friend today." It was very difficult subjects, but so I bring that up because that's how I was raised and very close with my sisters most of my life. But I was the middle child, so I always felt like I am the middle child still, fighting for attention, you know,
Yes.
and wanting to be heard. I was loud, I was rambunctious. I'm sure it doesn't shock you. I was always a leader since I was like in fourth grade. You know, I remember student government president in eighth grade. I ran like all the yearbook photos.
It's coming
and
together now.
all of the
Mhm.
student government when I got to high school. I mean, I was the nerd secretary, you know, keeping notes, keeping everybody on track. I did a lot of public speaking in high school, which really kind of pushed me to the place where I think I am now. And then I got really heavily involved in our criminal justice group in high school in Ocala, where I grew up. And the leader was a former detective, very high end local law enforcement, but he was a detective, and he taught me a lot of really cool things. But he taught me how to speak in front of people and how to persuade people to want to do what you're saying.
Right.
So that just kind of jumped into college, and then
It fit.
in college I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. Like, that's it. So went to college, got my bachelor's, and then went straight to law school after that.
Well, you're kicking ass.
Thank you.
And I love sending you people because I think what you do is awesome. And I know that you have an amazing heart. And I know that you look at the whole person. So, not to ruffle your feathers, but
thank you.
yes.
No, I appreciate it. I think that more people should talk.
Yes.
In general, more people should talk about really difficult subjects, and more people should be able to open up about the things that are really difficult. And when we can do that, it's helpful for everyone.
Communicate. Learn how to.
Somehow.
Somehow. We're going to give classes maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Do a coaching series on how to communicate.
Let's do it. Okay, so thank you for coming.
Of course.
How can people find you?
Sure. So my office is in downtown Fort Lauderdale. I'm at 12 Southeast 7th Street. I'm on the 6th floor. You can call me on my phone number. You want me to give you all this information?
I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it in the comments.
So my phone, but honestly, email is the 1 million best way to get a hold of me. And then my website, we have contact forms directly from my website where you can contact us, and my office responds too fast sometimes. I'm like, I didn't even read the contact list, but my office they respond right away and reach out, which is really amazing. And then we're on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn under Law Offices of Alyssa D. Honickman, PA. And that's how we have a Boca office and a Fort Lauderdale office. Well, Alyssa, I say, because that's my fancy formal professional name.
That is.
And the bar won't allow me to sign documents with my nickname. But yeah, Alyssa is the fancy name.
I like it. I like them both. All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you do.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for being my friend.
You are welcome.
I appreciate it.
Sounds great.
Thank you for saying yes. So thank you guys for joining us. I'll add Lisa's information in the comments. And if you know someone that could learn something from this, because I know we get a lot of questions about the difference, share it with somebody, please. And stay tuned for more. Thanks for joining us. Bye.